Hey everybody, and welcome to the Orange Road, and today we have a very special surprise. I'm going to review the magical paths, so sit down and relax. This will take a while. So let's start with what are the new magic spells, what's the new magic system, and there's now a different way all the paths are made up. So 1 to 6 are the learned spells. These are the spells you have to generate. Pretty much as we are used to. Then we have the attribute spells. These spells are known by the wizard automatically. But they are not cast, they are cast whenever you cast one of the learned spells. So it's a free bonus spell you get. Then we have the learned spells 0, and those are pretty much the signature spells as we know them. They are the spells you can switch any of the rolled spells for. Then we have the trait spells, who are labeled with a T. These are the spells each wizard automatically knows as well. Every wizard that generates a spell from a path automatically knows the path's trait spell. So let's get straight into the lore. So the first up is alchemy. And alchemy is one of the paths with an attribute, and the attribute is 18-inch range hex for 1 turn, alchemical fire. The target gains flammable. So this is what every infernal dwarf loved, every infernal dwarf's opponent hated, and now everybody who can take alchemy can take this synergy. Whoa, I think we'll see this a lot, and I'm very glad that even though the path of the forge is gone, this part is still in the game, even though almost everyone can now take it. Then we have the Quicksilver Lash, which is the signature spell. The target suffers D3 plus 1 hit with metal shifting. Pretty basic. Then we have the Word of Iron. It's an augment spell that gives +1 to its armor save. It's a decent spell, nothing really to set the world on fire, but that 1 armor save extra can make a giant difference. The one thing I don't like is that when you boost it, you don't get an aura effect, but a longer range. I think an aura effect would have been cooler. Up next, number 2 is the Molten Copper. It's a magic missile that does 2d6 or 3d6 strength 2 hits with armor piercing 3 and flaming attacks. So, for a 7+, it's not an expensive spell to cast, but I'm not really a fan. Doesn't have a lot of range, and the 2d6 or 3d6 strength 2 hits is not that impressive, even with armor piercing 3 and flaming attacks. So yeah, you can of course combo it with the alchemical fire, so you can reroll those strength 2 hits all time long, but still it's not really a spell I hope to roll. But it's probably the only spell you actually can combine with the lore attribute, so yeah, it's a difficult one. Then we have the Corruption of Tin. It's an 8+ or an 11+ to boost it, and it's a permanent -1 to the opponent's armor save. So very strong spell, nothing wrong with it. Then we have the Silver Spike, an oldie goldie. The target suffers 1 hit with strength 6, armor piercing 6, multiple wounds d3 and penetrating. So it's pretty much a magic missile / cannon you can fire at the opponent. Then we have the Transmutation to Lead. The target's attack cannot receive strength bonuses from its close combat weapons. Mundane shooting weapons wielded by the target unit suffers -1 strength. Notice this spell only affects a model's equipment and strength, not any special rules. For a 9+ or a 12+ and with a 24-inch or 84-inch range. So, this is a powerful spell, and I kinda like it. Can really shut down great weapon wielding units. But yeah, even normal units with shooting are impaired. So this is a very strong spell, and a 9+ is not allowed to cast. and I like the versatility of this spell because it works on close combat and on shooting. Then we have the 6th spell, the Glory of Gold. Cast on a 10 plus with an 8-inch range, the target gains magical attacks, flaming attacks and armor piercing 1. I'm not really a fan of this one, to be honest. Either give it +1 to hit or +1 to wound or anything. I know that it did this in combination with the lore attributes to prevent it becoming too nasty, but yeah, it's just slightly missing for my taste. Yeah. Still, it's a nice all-round lore. There aren't any really anything that stands out. This will probably be a very, very favorite lore by the Infernal Dwarves just for that attribute of fire, that alchemical fire. And for the rest you have a very nice magic missile, a very crappy magic missile, and some nice combat boost spells. So it's not a bad lore, a bit all round. Yeah. Up next we have the cosmology lore path, and this one is quite different. It's got the duality rule. So all cosmology spells are divided into 2 versions, Cosmos and Chaos. When casting a cosmology spell, always declare what version of the spell you are using. Whenever a spell from cosmology is successfully cast and the caster has no cosmology counter, it gains a counter matching that version. A Cosmos counter for Cosmos versions or a Chaos counter for Chaos versions. Non-bound spells from cosmology have their casting value reduced by 2 when cast by a caster with a cosmology counter, matching the version of the spell that is cast. So, if you have a Cosmos counter, you've reduced all those casting values on each Cosmos spell and vice versa for Chaos. And whenever you cast a spell, you automatically lose the counter that's attached to it. At the end of each of your magic phase, replace all your Cosmos counters with Chaos counters and all Chaos counters with Cosmos counters. So that's a lot of stuff to work with. This is higher brain work for some of us. I like the system. It's very fluffy, but also something you really need to take care of that your opponent understands, and you really need to use counters. No pen and paper for this. Get some nice, I think black and white marks probably be the best way to go. So let's look at the lore. Man, I need to look at this very carefully. So you have a signature spell, Altered Sight. So it's either a buff when you cast it. If you do it with the Cosmos version, you get +1 weapon skill and +1 business skill. Or it's a debuff when you cast it with Chaos. Then you get -1 weapon skill and -1 weapon skill. So that's a cool way to do this lore. And yeah, I'll talk more about this later. Then we have Touch the Heart. So it's either an augment or a hex. And if you're playing with the Cosmos, you recover 1 wound, and if you play with Chaos, you lose a wound. So also not a very strong spell, but hey, you can choose what you want. Mind games either get +1 leadership or -1 leadership, and this is the thing that's scary, it remains in play. A lot of people always underestimate remains in place. They say, oh well, I'll just spell it in my turn, yes, but you will use dice to do that. So Mind games is a very, very nice spell. I would have preferred a boosted variant to get either -2 leadership or anything else, but still, you can use this one. Then we have the Truth of Time. So when you're casting it on the cosmology side, or let me say it correct, the Cosmos side, whenever a target rolls a charge, a flee distance, a pursuit distance, or overrun distance, it rolls an additional d6 and discards the lowest d6. You probably guess what Chaos gets. It gets the Hex version and does the same, except they have to discard the highest d6. Then we have Ice and Fire. So when cast from the Cosmos side, you do 2d6 strength 3 hits with flaming attacks, divine attacks, And from the KL side you do 2d6 strength 3 with armor piercing 3. Not bad, it's not a bad magic missile, but I'm not really a fan of strength 3 magic missiles in general. But okay, you can use this. I think the KL version is probably better, but okay, a lot better. Perception of strength, well, it's again that augment and hex version. It's either +1 strength or -1 strength. So this is a very good spell since you can pick what it will do. And it will give you a lot of versatility on the table, and versatility is very important in this game. Then get to the unity in divergence. So as augment, all models in the target unit gain a 5+ ward save. And as a hex, each model in the target unit suffers a strength 3 hit. So this is a very powerful spell. Getting a 5+ ward save can really influence your game. And strength 3 hits on every model in the unit can be quite a nasty tool. And don't forget, this spell is not hard to cast, so it's quite nice to have. So this is a very new lore, it's very different. And I'm really curious how people will enjoy this lore, because it's very flexible. I mean, this is probably the most flexible lore in the game. Paths, I should say paths. Sorry Gladys, sorry. But the one thing I don't like about it is that all effects are relatively minor. So you're getting an extremely powerful tool belt, but all your tools are a little bit worn. They're a little bit crappy compared to the big shiny nice tools from some other paths. So you get what you pay for, which I do like again. So this is a very cool and fluffy path. I'm not quite sure we'll see it used a lot by the majority of the community, because it's a lot of work to use this path, counters, etc. And I think a lot of us will probably pick something a little bit more easier. But I think in the hands of a skilled general, this will be a very nice path to have. Up next we have divination. I already reviewed divination the day before, so look at that video if you want to have my opinion on it. Then we have druidism. So this path has a trait spell and an attribute. The attribute is the Fountain of Youth for 12-inch range, and the target recovers 1 wound. No single model can recover or raise more than 1 wound per phase from this spell, so it's a nice free buff. Then we have the Oaken Throne. So each and every wizard on druidism gets this spell for free. The spell has a nice remains in play effect, and if the caster has the Oaken Throne in play when certain spells are cast by the caster, the augmented version is used, which is marked with the hashtags. For the attribute spell, the Oaken Throne must be in play when the spell triggers the attribute was cast. So, up first we have the Master of the Earth, so it's just a magic missile. The fun part from this one is that it can be cast from the caster, or you can pick the range of the spell from any impossible terrain on the table. And the target suffers d6 strength 4, or with the Oaken Throne, strength 5 hits for a 6+. It doesn't have a lot of range, standard only 18-inch, but combined with the impassable terrain rule, you can get this magic missile pretty easily where you need it to go. And a d6 strength 5, because I'm going to assume you'll have the Oaken Throne on him, is a very nasty ability. It's quite nice. Then we have the Healing Waters. So, the range of the spell can also be cast from the caster, but also, just like before, from a terrain. This time it's a water creature. Good luck with having that, because most of the people don't really play with water terrain. So the target gains regeneration 5+, or when boosted with the Oaken Throne, a 4+. For an A+ to cast for a turn, it's a very nice spell. You really need the Oaken Throne, but that's part of the lore. Then we have Entwined Roots. The range of this spell again is from the caster, but this time as well from any forests. The target suffers -1, or when boosted d3, weapon skill and ballistic skill both to a minimum of 1. So this is a very nasty spell. forests are often found on the table, so you can probably ping it around through the forest. And you probably will have to, because 12-inch range is not a lot. But it's a very nasty spell. Not too hard to cast. Yeah, I like this one. Then we get the Spirits of the Wood, and it's an augment or universal with the Oaken Throne. And all models in the target unit are considered to be within a forest. If the target is a friendly unit, it also gains Strider Forest. So this is one of those spells that people usually don't understand, but it's a very powerful spell, because you can screw with the opponent in so many different and unique ways. You can create cover, but you can also make people take dangerous terrain tests. You can make certain they don't have their ranks because they're in a forest, etc, etc. So this is a nice spell, but you do have to be a bit creative with it. 9+ is not very cheap to cast for the effect, but like I said, if you use this spell correctly, it can do a lot. Then we get to Stone Skin. It's an 11+ to cast for only a 12-inch range. The range of the spell can also be cast from measured from any hill terrain features. I really like that all the terrain gets into play here. And the target gains +2 or +3 toughness. So this is a very potent spell, and the +3 when the Oaken Throne is on there makes you guys just ridiculously tough, because you're just outboosting all the great weapons in the game and getting an extra toughness as well. So yeah, this is a very potent spell. Last but not least, the Summer Growth. This spell has different effects depending on the height of the largest fraction of the target's unit's model. Use the largest target in case of a tie. So again, we need to think. So if you've got a standard model size, you will raise back D3 +3 wounds or +5 when the Oaken Throne is on there. If it's large, you get 2-3 +1 with the Oaken Throne or just D3. And a gigantic model only gets 1 wound back. So I like how they did this. This can really swing the combat around, because don't forget you also get your Fountain of Youth attribute as well. So even the giant monsters will get 2 wounds back. Within range of everything, of course. But yeah, this is it's a nice spell. Getting 2 wounds back on anything that's big can be a game changer. So let's talk about this lore in general. I like it. I like the fact that all the terrain on the table has an effect. It really fits the pod druidism. The spells themselves are nice. It's got a nice mix of effects, but this is pretty much a combat boosting lore in general. Having the ability to heal and to get your toughness up and to reduce their weapon skill. And even get some regeneration going. Yeah, that's all nice stuff. And their magic missile isn't that bad. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. It's cheap to cast, and it starts with strength 4, which is a good place to start with. Then we go to evocation. So evocation of souls has a trait. If the target has at least one model with an evoked value, the target unit or a single character inside the target unit raises a number of wounds as stated in the unit's profile under evoked. Characters and models with Tyrant presence cannot raise more than 2 wounds from this spell in a single magic phase. If you don't have the evoked value, the evocation of souls will give the target unit fear and immune psychology. So, what does this mean? This means if you're an undead player, this spell will do something different from the rest of us. This is your raise spell. It will bring back your models. So this is the lore of necromancy completely strapped into one single trait spell. It's not bad. I mean, I do like the fact that it's got 2 different ways now. It's not really that interesting, I think, for non-undead players. I mean, the fear and immune psychology, it's nice, but I prefer to just use a magical item to get fear base, and immune psychology, yeah, it's nice to have, but I don't build my strategy around it. The fact that it's also an aura spell is probably targeted mostly for the undead part of the spell, but yeah, I'm thinking a lot of the undead players are waiting to learn about this spell. So let's look at what the lore does for the rest, because I'm not looking at the evoked value in the book, so I don't know how powerful this is or how effective, but it will at least give everyone the option again. So the first spell is the Spectral Blades. The target gains Lethal Strike, and all attacks already affected by Lethal Strike may reroll fail to wound roll in close combat. Yeah, this is a very tasty one, especially if you already have Lethal Strike in your army. Looking at you, Undying Dynasties. For a 10 plus, a 12-inch aura is pretty damn tasty. And yeah, this is a very nice spell. Then we have Ancestral Aid. The target must reroll failed to hit rolls with its close combat, or, when you boost it, the shooting attacks. Yeah, this one is also again very nice. I'm not quite sure which armies all get this spell, but I'm gonna guess at least the Vampire and our mummy friends. And I think our mummy friends or the Undying Dynasties can really use that spell when boosted, but their vampire brothers will probably just take the spell base, so it's a very nice spell to have. Thank God there's no aura effect on this one. So, Touch of the Reaper. The target suffers D3 hits with strength 10 and armor piercing 6. When rolling to wound with this attack, substitute the target's toughness for its leadership. Yeah, this is something that's a bit scary. It's only D3 hits, thank God, but still quite nasty. It depends on what you're playing. If I'm playing against something like the Dwarves or Infernal Dwarves, I'll just substitute the spell, because, yeah, won't do a lot. But if you're playing against Goblins or Warriors or the Bestial guys with low leadership, this can get quite nice. Up next we have Danse Macabre. It's an augment, and the target may perform an 8-inch magical move and counts as having ethereal during this move, which is very, very powerful. And the thing I really like about this spell, for 12 plus, it's an aura effect. Yeah, this is making your army just move forward in a way the opponent will really dislike. Alright, I'm marching up, 8 inch, cast spell, I'm looking at 16 inch in front of you. Surprise! You're going as fast as cavalry, so I like Danse Macabre, it's a great spell to have. Then we have Whispers of the Veil. It remains in play, and the target suffers -1 leadership and -2 weapon skill. This is a very nasty spell to have in your arsenal because it remains in play, and your opponent will dispel this in his magic phase, so he will weaken his own magic phase, because having that -1 leadership and -2 weapon skill can be terrible. Then we get Hasten the Hour as the 6th spell. We're looking at a 14 plus to cast, and each character and champion in the target unit suffers a hit that wounds automatically, with no saves of any kind allowed. Wow. Yeah, this is pretty scary. Again, this is a spell like we've seen before against Death Stars, which is okay in my mind, even though I don't like playing Death Stars. But yeah, this is very, very powerful to have in your tool belt, but it depends on your opponent's army list. And if you have a lot of... if I'm playing against somebody who picks this spell, I'll just have to spread around my characters, because I don't want to put them all in one unit then, because he will then just cast this and hurt them. But if it's all divided around my army, this spell won't do a lot, because, well, for 14 plus doing a hit on one of my characters, I can live with that. So, and it only has a 12-inch range. Let's look at this lore in two different kind of ways. So if you're playing an undead army, you will pick this lore. Done. No discussion, because you want to bring back your models. Alright, everybody gets that. So what does this lore bring to a non-undead player? And to be honest, I can see myself using this lore. I don't know if my armies have access to it, but it's a very, very nasty lore in general. You have a very, very nice combat boss. I mean, the Spectral Blades is amazing. Whispers of the Veil is also very potent. Dance Macabre is great. Touch of the Reaper and Hasten the Hours are a bit dependent on the opponent, but they are still good spells. Yeah. I might even try to use this lore if my armies are able to use it, but I'm pretty sure the undead players will use it en masse because it deals with some of their weak spots. The only thing it really lacks is a decent magic missile. The Touch of the Reaper just isn't that. Alright, next up, cultism. And it has a special rule again called the Sacrifice. When casting a non-bound spell from this path after rolling magic dice but before the opponent rolls any dispel attempt, the active player may choose to inflict X hits on the caster's unit or another friendly unengaged unit within 24 inch. Each unit may only be targeted by this ability once per magic phase. X is equal to the number of ranks in the targeted unit down to a minimum of 2 and to a maximum of 5. These hits wound automatically and no save of any kind is allowed against them. The last model in a unit can never be removed as a casualty using this ability. If at least one wound was cast, the spell is cast with the amplified version marked with symbols. So, that's a big sentence. Let's look at it a little bit more carefully. So you can use this ability per unit only once. And when you use it, you get X number of hits. And those X's are dependent on your rank. If you do cast a wound, you get the amplified version. So, yeah, it's just very fluffy, and I like it. This is something I really have to test out in the game, because this will really depend on your army if you want to use this. If you're playing in a very high cost model army, while armies with cheap as chip models will probably use this all the bloody time. So, it's got a signature spell, Pentagram of Pain, and your target suffers d6 strength 4 hits, and the caster's unit is unaffected. That's a nice spell to have. If you have the sacrificed version, if one or more successful roll, the caster recovers 1 wound. So that's quite nice. You sacrifice a couple of your models, perhaps aimed a wound back on your caster. 8 inch for 12 inch aura. Yes, this is a very nasty one if you can get it to work correctly. Just make certain you don't have any of your own units in range, because you'll cut those too. Then we get to the Hand of Glory. 6+ to cast, and the target gains a ward save 5+. If you already have a ward save, they are increased to 1, to a maximum of 3+. This is bloody insane. You can build your list around this spell to just make certain you get an almost unkillable unit. Not a fan of having anything in the game walking around with a 3+ ward save, especially because it's very cheap to cast, only a 6+. Yeah, and I know it's only on the caster, etc., but still, I'm not a fan of having spells that increase the ward save to a 3+. I'm not quite sure who is able to use this lore, but there are probably some very sneaky ways to get yourself a monster wizard with a 4+ ward save and then get a 3+ toughness, a lot of wounds, etc. So, it's probably not too bad, but I always get nervous when I see the maximum or 3+ ward save. Then we get to Breath of Corruption. You get a breath weapon with toxic attacks. I'm not a fan of toxic attacks. Not even that a big fan of breath weapons. 6+ is cheap to cast, but it's just not my thing. Then we get to Forbidden Knowledge. And the target may reroll casting rolls when casting non-bound spells from this path, and it remains in play. So, yeah, this is, in the lore itself, this is a very nice ability to have. The problem, of course, it's not a spell you get for free, so it will take up one of your casting slots. So this spell is useless for a wizard with only 1 spell or 2 spells. You need this one on the big caster. Then we get the Rot Within. It's a hex and it's permanent, and the target suffers 1 weapon skill. And when you have sacrificed something, you get +1 weapon skill permanently. Yeah, this is quite nasty. 9+ is not a lot to cast, and everything that's permanent is scary. Then we get 2 marked for Doom. It's a hex direct damage, and the target suffers 1 strength 10 hit with multiple wounds d3. And if you sacrifice something, you can choose to target a single character in that unit. So this is a very nice spell to have. The only problem is a limited range, but you can work around that. So yeah, very scary spell, and you'll probably always sacrifice something to take care of a character in a unit, and then you'll really get disappointed if you don't get the sacrificium off, or just take care of monsters and stuff. Then we get to the Grave Calls, and the target suffers 2d6 strength 5 hits or strength 6 when you sacrificed. It's a very nasty spell because you start with strength 5, it only has a 12-inch range, and it's quite costly to cast, but still it's a potent spell. I'm really hoping those Dark Elf wizards on horses, that unit, I always forget the name, don't get this one standard, because it really fit them, and they have the ability to take use of this spell. So the lore in general, the sacrifice is cool, it's fluffy, it brings fluff to the game. The lore itself, I really like the signature spell. I mean, having an aura magic missile's always nice, and it's not even a magic missile, so Hand of Glory scares me. Threat of Corruption, Forbidden Knowledge, I couldn't really care about that much. Wrath Within is very potent, and Mark for Doom is very potent, and the Grave Calls can be used if you build your list around. So this is a lore which probably is best on a very mobile flying wizard, someone who can actually also fight, because a lot of these spells will really synergize well with that. So perhaps a Demon Prince or an Infernal Dwarf Wizard on a big cow or something like that. You can use this lore quite efficiently, but it's not an easy lore to use. You'll have to build your list around this lore, or have it really fit your playing style with a certain list. Then we have Pyromancy, which I already talked about, so we go straight to Shamanism. I should probably tell everyone I haven't even looked at these lore, so I'm just reviewing them as I'm reading them, so you guys can get the first glance opinion from me. So I might make mistakes, not perfect. So this one has an attribute, Scarification. Close combat attacks against the target cannot wound on better than a 5+. Whoa, that is freaking nasty. That's really powerful. So powerful, and I'm thinking I'm probably reading this wrong or whatever, but damn, that's nasty. Then we get Awaken the Beast, the signature spell. The target gains +1 strength, and if you cast boosted effect, you get +1 toughness as well. 6+, A+, not expensive to cast, and you really want to have this spell, so it's a great spell to have as your signature. Swarm of Insects, 5d6 strength 1 hits, always amazing, just because you get so many magical hits with this magical spell. Savage Fury, the target gains Frenzy. I'm not that giant fan of Frenzy, but it's a nice spell to have, only 5+ to cast. I would have preferred if the boosted effect would have had an aura effect, but alright, and it would fit the fluff team a little bit more, I think. Then we get Pounding Drumbeat. The target performs a 2d6 magical move straight forward. It cannot go backwards, sidestep, reform, pivot wheel, just go straight forward. And when you boost this, you get the aura effect, which I like. This is what I meant with the Savage Fury. This lore really needs aura effects to make it fluffy, and it's starting to get them here. So 5+ is not difficult to cast, and 9+ as well to have an aura effect. This will really work well with certain combat builds. Then we get Chilling Howl, also the ability to have that aura effect. All 2 wound rolls against the target from shooting attacks suffer -1 modifier. This spell automatically becomes pretty much the favorite spell of any beast herd army or the Warriors of Dark Gods. Because now you can just walk up using your pounding drum beat and then use your chilling howl to protect yourself against shooting. Break the Spirit. The target suffers -1 modifier to hit and treat all terrain, including open terrain, as dangerous terrain. It's a very potent spell, and it's 72 inch when boosted is incredible. This is a very potent spell. Yeah, just like I said, it's just amazing. I love this spell. Then we get Totemic Summon, and you can summon a monster. So this is not something we've really seen before, so let's look at it. Although I do remember it from a certain book from a long time ago. The Totemic Beast. So you get a monster with 3d6 random movement, strength 5, toughness 5, 3 wounds, initiative 3, 4 attacks, leadership 7. And it has a bread weapon as well. So it's not very powerful in combat, but you have an enormous range on casting it. 96 inch range. So pretty much everywhere on the table, only you have to keep it in range of the board edge. This is just a very original and creative way to make a War Machine Hunter. I love this spell. And I can't wait to see what people convert for it to match their armies. This is just, yeah, I love it. We love it. It's cool, and it's just so different from how we've seen the magical paths before. So, my thoughts in general about shamanism. This lore is pretty much, this path is pretty much the old beast path, with some extra goodies inside. I really like this path because it's fluffy without having a very unusual effect, like the sacrifice or whatever. You can really feel the shamanistic tendencies in this path with the pounding drum beat and the chilling howl, the totemic summon. Yeah, really like this path. Then we get to thaumaturgy. Judgment on High is the special ability linked to thaumaturgy. When casting spells from this path, all magic dice that result in a 1 must be rerolled. If a caster miscasts when casting a spell from thaumaturgy, it counts as having used 1 additional magic dice for the casting attempt. So, on the one hand, you get a bonus because you can reroll those once when you cast a spell. On the other hand, when you miscast, it will hurt a bit more. Nice balance. So, this one has 6 spells. No augments, no extra spells, nothing. Hand of Heaven. The target suffers d6, or when boosted, d6 plus 1, hits with strength d6, d6 plus 1. Oh god. I'm not a fan of random spells that are this random. Yeah, you could have strength 7, but I'll probably have strength 1 or 2 most of my games. And when I cast a spell, I want to know what it does. Not a good way to start for me, but I don't like taking a big chance when casting spells. Next up, Cleansing Fire. The target gains a red weapon, strength d3 plus 2. Well, same problem again. I'm not even that much a fan of red weapons by spells as most people, and having the random effect again is just not my thing. Then we get to Trial of Fate. Both the target and the caster roll a d6. If the caster's roll is higher, the target suffers a number of wounds with armor piercing 6 equal to the difference between their respective rolls. This is very nasty because you will roll a 6 and he will roll a 1 and you will hit him 5 times with armor piercing 6. This spell is very dangerous. It's still very random, and usually I don't like random, but because this is so potent, I will dispel this as an opponent, because this spell will scare the shit out of me. The only advantage you have is that as an opponent, this range is only 12 on boosted, and it's still a roll of the dice, but yeah, like I said, I don't like random stuff. Speaking in tongues, the target cannot benefit from inspiring presence. So this is very powerful against armies which really need a leadership bubble. Well, it's pretty rubbish against any dwarven army. So it depends on what you're playing against. I would have preferred if the duration of the spell remains in play instead of lasts one turn, but you can't have everything. Then we get Smite the Unbeliever, another hex. Immediately after successfully casting a spell, roll a d6. If a 4+ is rolled, roll again and keep rolling until you don't roll a 4+. For each 4+ rolled, the target suffers -1 toughness to a minimum of 1. Then repeat the same process for each 4+, your target suffers -1 strength. So this is unbelievable powerful. You'll get on average perhaps -1 toughness, -1 strength. Maybe not even both. But this spell can swing so extremely the other way around that you'll change Showers Warriors into strength 1, toughness 1 guys. It's ridiculous. It's so random again, but this is, yeah. Phew, this spell scares me. Then we have Wrath of the God. Guess what? This is just the comet. Choose a point within range of the table and place a counter there at the end of each phase. Roll d6, etc, etc, etc. So the spell will go off or will not go off, and when it finally does go off, it will do more damage the longer it's been in play. Yeah, it's a nasty spell. It's again chancy, just like the rest of the lore. So I think this lore is either very, very, very powerful or very, very, very rubbish. It depends on your luck, which is cool on its own way, but it's just way too random for me, and I don't think I would ever use it. But on the other hand, I'm pretty scared of facing it, so it's a good design, and I wish good luck to everyone who's brave enough to use it. Then we get to witchcraft, which is the last of the magical paths. So again, a lore with a signature, the Evil Eye. The target suffers -3 d3 movement to a minimum of 3, and -1 initiative to a minimum of 1. So, for only a 6+, this is an amazing spell. The initiative can really swing games around, and messing with people's movements is always powerful. And it's a signature spell, so it's pretty cool. Then we get Deceptive Glamour. It's an augment that gives you distracting and a hard target. Both are nice and cool to have. It's pretty easy to cast, and you can get the aura effect as well. Only 6 inches, which isn't a lot. I'm not going to make the joke again, Spoony, sorry. Then we get Raven's Wing. It's an augment, and you can perform a 6-inch or 10-inch flying magical move. And it does not prevent the target from shooting. Potent spell. Pretty much because it doesn't say what the target is specifically, so you can just move the target. And that can also be a big bloody unit, so that's a scary one. Oh, there's a passable piece of terrain there. Whee! We're flying all over it. No problem. Yeah, potent spell. Twisted Effigy. All shooting attacks made by the target and all spells cast by the target when boosted have their range halved. Very potent spell again. Also a subtle spell, so this is for the more experienced player. But it's a very nice spell to have again, and it has a quite nice range. Unfortunately, the spell range cast by the target, the boosted effect, when you use that one you have a lower range, so the spell isn't that great in stopping the opponent from halfway across the table, but it's still very potent. Then we get Will of the Wisp. The target gains random movement 2d6. Oh, I love spells like these, especially if my opponent isn't paying attention and he gives me a free random move charge in his rear. Love it. So this spell is amazing to have. You can cast it on yourself to screw with the opponents. You can cast it on them to perhaps lower their movement. Yeah, it's a very cool spell to have, and I like it. Then we have Bewitching Glare. It remains in play. The target gains stupidity, and for each character in a unit, a -1 modifier to its leadership is suffered when making stupidity tests. So this is one of those rare spells where I would have preferred if the base spell remains in play and the boosted version lasts one turn, and then make the boosted version a 9+ to cast. Why? Because I don't want this spell to remains in play all the time. When I want to drain my opponent from his magic dice in the next turn, yeah, it's cool. But I might also really want that Death Star to have stupidity the next turn and roll on a -5 or anything, because he has 5 characters in there. So I'm just missing that extra step of options here by not having a boosted variant, which would be lasts one turn. Still, my spell, again, a very potent anti-Death Star spell. We're seeing a lot of those. Then we have the Wheel's Turn. Rank and flank models in the target will successfully roll to hit and wound on a 4+ with their close combat attacks, regardless of weapon skill, strength and toughness. So you wound and hit on a 4+ whatever. That's a scary spell. Just imagine your big block of goblins simply destroying those deep watch dwarves because, well, I'll hit you on a 4+ and wound you on a 4+. Yeah, it's pretty nasty. Thank God it doesn't affect the armor saves or anything else, but still a very potent spell. And oh right, I'm doing this spell wrong. It's a hex, so it's only cost negative. So yeah, when your infernal dwarfs, great weapon wielding guys are hitting me, yeah, they only are wounding me on a 4+ and hitting me on a 4+. So yeah, got the spell completely mixed around. Still a very nice spell to have. I would have loved if they would have made the option here to make it a hex or an augment, because, well, there is a lot of potential to have with the spell. Then can help armies in different ways. So this spell is all about weakening the opponent. It's not bad. It's not my favorite lore. I think this lore is pretty cool on some low-level wizards, which is a couple of spells. Still, a lot of people probably love this lore, but it's just not for me. Right. Thanks for listening, everyone. This was a very quick review of all the different magical paths we are receiving for version 1.2. Don't go mad at the forum, just have a good look at them. It's obvious magic has changed. I kinda like the way the magic system is now going, because there are no auto picks. I still think that divination is a very cool path to take. I don't know if it's the strongest one, but it really fits me as a player. But I can also see that a lot of these paths are very tuned to a certain kind of player. For example, thaumaturgy. I know guys who will love this lore. They will have stories to tell about that one time they made a demon prince just strength 1, toughness 1 because they kept rolling 4+. And the shamanism spell of a path is also very cool. So there's a lot of cool stuff here. There are no spells that just win you the game, I think. The time is over. All the magic is to supplement your playing style and your army. Yeah. So, thanks everyone for listening. I'm going to go to work now. Go backwards, the way I say this. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you all on the next show. Bye!